Daddy, let's go. It's time.
Welcome, everyone, to Know Your Opponent. Today is going to be exciting, Alex, because we get to talk about the Detroit Lions and 49ers football game.
It's true.
And we get to talk to a Detroit Lions guy.
A Detroit Lions guy, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, Cutback crew, please welcome on to the podcast, Matt Burgoz. Matt, how are you doing, guy?
All right, pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
He's all Lionsed out over there. I like it.
Yeah, I know. I like it, too. So, Matt, tell everyone how a Northern California guy becomes a Detroit Lions guy.
I mean, you recognize when the best running back to have ever played the game, you follow that guy, that's Barry Sanders. So
Fair
I've
enough.
been a fan ever since. And unlike some of the other fans, whether they be Raiders or even Niners with a half-empty stadium, I stuck with them.
Wow.
Just
had to
Throwing
take a
shade
little
right
dig.
off the bat.
Just had to go with the little dig.
Comes in right
I
away,
did.
firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a nice stadium, though. I've been there.
It is a nice stadium, 100%. Matt, how do you feel about the new head coach hire? How do you feel about Dan Campbell leading the charge and getting Detroit hopefully on the right track, coming in these next few years?
I feel really good about it. I think MCDC, man, he's been he's actually embracing the culture that is Detroit. I've been out in those areas too as well for work and whatnot, and it's very blue collar. And I think the front office has always been a big struggle for Detroit, and the kind of coaches that they brought in, like when you have Matt Patricia, our last coach, he just wanted to be Patriots 2.0, and Detroit's never going to get on board with that. As excited as we'd like to be with the winner that's going to be there, you do have to embrace the culture that is Detroit, which I like the kneecap stuff. I mean, he's very real about it. And just to kind of put a little spin on it, too, it's not so much that he's going to go and kneecap everybody, including the Niners. It's on the way up. So he's expecting to get knocked down. I think the expectations are appropriately set for the Detroit Lions this year. But he's going to be competitive. I think Detroit's going to be very competitive. I think he's going to shock everybody with as much as of a clown he's been portrayed as in the media, he's actually very football savvy.
Yeah, look, I mean, that's one of the things with Detroit is for the longest time, right? They haven't been really taken too seriously. And this guy comes in, Campbell comes in, and he's having some fun. And some people look at that and are knocking it and like, great, they go from Patricia, who tried to establish himself right as almost like an authoritarian sort of figure and really lay the hammer and the rule of law down there, and it kind of backfired on him really quickly, to this guy, which is a complete 180 approach to what Patricia has been taking with everything that he's doing. So far with what you've seen out of the pieces you have and what he's tried to accomplish and establish, are there any areas on this team that you think are going to be greatly improved coming into this next season?
One of the surprising things I can think is going to be greatly improved is going to be the defense, I think. I think the defensive secondary, with Aaron Glenn being a secondary guy, also getting the right attitude on the defense, turning into a more attacking style defense, converting to a 3-4, just not being afraid to take chances, and then having realistic expectations, knowing if you're going to take those chances, you're going to get burned every once in a while too. But I think being aggressive on the defensive side of the ball helps with your matchup issues that you're going to have this year. Actually on both sides of the ball, but we'll get into the offensive side a little bit later too as well. But I like the defensive line, interior, very strong. Trey Flowers, couple inside D tackles, the new guy from Washington, very strong, very big guys, like 300-pounders and whatnot. So I think it's going to be pretty exciting. And I think there's going to be a lot of coaching this year for sure.
Yeah, Onwuzurike from Washington is somebody that we liked in the draft. We knew he was going to go late in the draft, but we also liked Aleem McNeil, who they drafted on the interior, who's an absolute beast from NC State. We're huge fans of him and what he can do. So we think that those two guys, especially with Michael Brockers, could test the 49ers interior offensive line. And the 49ers offensive line is going to have to be able to get this zone read to the outside, which is also a problem because you have Jamie Collins. So there are some cool matchups between the 49ers offensive line and the defensive line. In fact, it was my key matchup for the game because I think whoever wins that battle has a good opportunity to win the game. I think the 49ers can get it done because of Mostert's speed. But what do you think about that? Do you think that the defense for the Lions is going to be able to set the edge and turn back the zone, the zone scheme and the outside zone for the 49ers?
I think they're definitely going to try. I don't think it's going to be done in a traditional way. I think with I think they're going to try to confuse a lot of the blocking assignments on the edge. Being with the 3-4, you're probably going to see a lot of different kinds of twists and stunts. Not just as a pass style blitz, but probably more of a run style blitz, knowing that 49ers are just going to come run the ball. Very similar to what we're probably going to try to do too as well. So 49ers are really good at setting up an outside zone, establishing a run game, and then everything branches off of that. So outside zones in all sorts of different ways. It's like Daddy Shanahan used to do it, but this time it's out of the shotgun. And like I said, they're just going to play action out of it. They got a ton of speed from the wide receiver core, minus Jalen Hurd is what I'm hearing. And so, well, like I said, if we can confuse some blocking assignments on the edge, I think we'd be all right. Like I said, it's not about winning every single battle. I think that's an unreasonable expectation for the Detroit Lions. But if we can win a handful of battles, we're going to disappoint a lot of 49er fans for sure.
I mean, yeah, talk about disappointing 49ers fans. Two in here right now already disappointed about the whole Hurd situation.
Yeah.
It's not great. It's not what we're hoping for. That's
just the first one. And we didn't even do it. You haven't even got to Detroit yet.
Oh, wow.
Wow, indeed.
Taking credit for the kneecapping of Jalen Hurd.
Already, my goodness gracious.
Hey, we're going to take every win that we can get this year, even if it's not in the W column.
Fair indeed. Look, Dan Campbell has talked about how much he likes Goff and what Goff is about. He thinks Goff's a winner. He's won, he won in LA. He thinks he can do the same thing with him here. As a Lions fan, I don't know how much of a hot button issue this is, because I know there's probably a lot of love for Matt Stafford and what Matt Stafford did. The toughness that guy played with, the grit that he played with, playing through as many injuries as he did. That you talked about blue collar. Nothing really epitomized that more than what Matt Stafford meant to this Detroit Lions organization, this team, with him gone and Goff now inserting and taking over the reins. How do you as a Lions fan feel, and do you share that same level of optimism that Campbell has for Jared Goff at the helm?
I think everybody on the surface feels that way about Goff. I don't. I think Goff's terrible, but we'll see how he embraces the blue collar attitude. He's saying all the right things in the press conferences, but if you're going to go into what's probably going to be a longer season, we'll see how he holds up. Because Matt Stafford, like I said, even when it was really, really bad, you love that guy. He was going to go out and throw a touchdown pass with a separated shoulder. So, I mean, I hope the Rams beat everybody because of Stafford. I mean, because that's how much we love Stafford. And it wasn't, it was a bittersweet. We'd love to see him, be successful. We hated to see him go, but we understood why. I mean, look at Calvin Johnson, look at Barry Sanders, look at all those guys, and they never got out. They just quit. So we're actually hoping, at least I believe as a Lions fan, we're hoping Stafford does really well. But for Goff, I think he's going to do actually really well against the Niners on Sunday. More so than what I think a lot of people give him credit for. And I don't think it has much to do with his actual ability. It's going to be more so the fact that he's a great play action passer. So off the play action game last year, he was ranked, I think, probably the best play action passer as far as QBR goes. And I think that's what Lions will try to do coming out with Goff is relieve some of that pressure by establishing a run game, much similar to what the 49ers do, except instead of an outside zone, it's going to be on the inside. We got two backs that are big, they're bruisers, they're slide steppers, they're going to drop a shoulder, but they're not going to turn any corners. So I think that'll help Goff out a little bit. And we play action off of that. That'll relieve some of the pressure from a really stout defensive front that 49ers have. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly, if you're going to try to attack the 49ers defense, you want to attack them vertically up the middle because that is usually the weakness. The one difference is now that Javon Kinlaw is there instead of like a Buckner. The size has definitely changed. And then they went out in the offseason and they added Zach Kerr and they added a couple other guys, and you go put that with Kevin Givens and DJ Jones, and you got yourself a good inside game. But still, your linebackers, the 49ers linebackers, aren't the best at the point of attack. They're all a little slight, they're all a little small. So you're right, if they can get the run game going vertical, that could cause some problems. The only question is, you brought up the play action passes. Who exactly is Jared Goff throwing to? Because we know Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then after that, it's like, who? Who's that?
I can kind of go through it too a little bit. I mean, every Lions fan at the beginning of the season, or at least as early as not even last month, was questioning the same thing. Who are these wide receivers that are that are on our depth chart, and why do they belong there on the depth chart at all? We're the second youngest team in the NFL now, just behind the Jets. I think average age is 24. This is ridiculously young. And I don't know I tend to believe them when they say they didn't mean to go that young. But for wide receivers going deep, you have Tyrell Williams. He's healthy, at least for this week. We'll see how he holds up for the rest of the season. I know that was a big issue with him at the Raiders, and even Raiders fans were kind of sad that it's similar to like Jalen Hurd. He's good. It's just he's got to actually make it on the field. I know a lot of people said he's he's got a big catching radius, and he's really fast and he'll stretch the field, but I don't think that's actually he's going to stretch the field. It's probably going to be the guy, Sustaining, you said you didn't know anything about. That's Khalif Raymond. So Khalif Raymond comes
speed,
from,
yeah.
He's also the kick returner, punt returner. He's a mid to low 4.3 guy, and you actually see it on the field. I think he played that was with the Titans in a similar scheme where you run the ball 30 times with Derrick Henry, and then you stretch the field with someone like Khalif Raymond all the way down the sideline or down the middle of the field or deep crossing routes, and he's just going to run away from people, similar to the way Tyreek Hill might. So I think that's kind of the strategy with putting him opposite Tyrell Williams. Every wide receiver that we have, 4.4-ish or faster. Quintus Cephas, I know you guys talked about him a little bit. He's a returner. He's probably like the only returner we have in the wide receiver core. And he's going to be packaged. He'll be, number 3, number 4. I don't see him getting as much playing time as maybe they think he is. I think early on the season he might get more playing time, but he'll fall off as they develop other wide receivers. And then you have the pickup Trinity Benson, I believe, from the Broncos. And he's kind of resembles, I guess he most reminds me of like Golden Tate. Great route runner, quick, can get open. Also a very, very speedy guy. So I think they're going to try to use a lot of speed in the wide receiver core, even though it's young.
Yeah, that's good there. TJ Hockenson, always a guy to look out for, continues to impress each and every season, improving as a blocker, improving as a route runner. Definitely one of your strengths. Do you think that him and Goff are going to be able to get some chemistry going early? Is he going to be Goff's security blanket throughout the season? And do you expect him to have a monster year for Detroit?
He's definitely going to have a monster year. He's going to be a huge crutch for Goff. I mean, that's going to be, 80% of the passes are going to be looked first over to TJ Hawkinson's way. He's probably one of the better tight ends in the league. And in spring camp, at least from some of the interviews and some of the things that I've read and some of the videos I've watched, he just crutches the hell out of TJ Hockenson. So I don't know if that's a lack of faith in the wide receivers or that TJ's really that good. Probably a little bit of both. But out of the play action pass, like I said, you might get a little bit of a, hopefully TJ can slip by over the middle or out to the flats. But we'll probably look deep first and then outlet to Hockenson second. Or if we're really in a hurtful spot, Detroit Lions love to throw to their backs out of the backfield too as well. So,
yeah, luckily for the 49ers, the backs out of the backfield and the tight ends, we got the linebackers that can cover them. Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner. Those guys everything's predicated on speed. Do you think that the Lions will be able to get Hockenson behind those linebackers, or even be able to defeat Tart or Ward in one-on-one matchups if those are matchups that are afforded them? Because the belief is that DeMeco Ryans is going to go more man coverage than he ever has before. With Richard Sherman being gone, it'll be less base, cover 3, less single high safety looks. What do you think? Do you think that he can win those one-on-one matchups against those particular guys? I think we like those guys, but we haven't watched Hockenson as much as you have.
Yeah, no, Hockenson wins one-on-one mashups. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of people say he's the best player on our team. And I know that even above our quarterback or anybody else, but no, he's a stud. He's an absolute beast. He's gonna beat most people one-on-one 9 times out of 10. The way you guys feel about Kittles and how dominant he is and don't you dare play one-on-one, I mean, that's granted. We feel the same way about TJ Hockenson. So he can catch, he can block. He's just a beast at the tight end position. He's a rare talent in the league for sure.
That's for sure. I agree with you there 100%.
And a Kittle friend.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Indeed. Look, the other thing I want to ask you about is this DB core for the Detroit Lions. Some people would argue it's really bad. I would say that is probably the case as well. And this was actually my key matchup in the preview show we had yesterday, was our slot wide receivers against A.J. Parker out there, who's actually dealing with a little bit of an injury. So not even sure if he's going to be going this week. How much of a concern is the DB group? Can the D-line make up for some of the question marks back there? And is this an area that the Niners can exploit this weekend? Or are they just going to shock the world?
No, there's not going to be any shock, I don't think. I think with as aggressive as the Lions are probably going to be in the game, it's going to be more about keeping everything in front of them, just not letting the big play go or letting people get behind him. If you watch Jeff Okudah's preseason stuff, he's so scared about getting beat. He's actually not that slow of a corner. He runs a decent, high 4.40, but he just seems to be so scared when he gets matched up one-on-one with somebody fast. And you could see by the cushion that he gives everybody. I think they'll play into that in the game plan. They'll attack quite a bit, and they'll probably zone out a little bit more than, the Lions have done in the past with Matt Patricia. So Jeff Okudah's got a lot to prove this year. I mean, you put a lot of stock in him. You drafted pretty high. He was I think, top 3 at least corner coming out of that draft when we picked him up. I think he was an Ohio State guy, right? If I remember right.
I believe so.
Yeah, and he just hasn't proved what he's supposed to be. So a lot of pressure, I think, is going to be on him to perform and lead a very young, like I said, secondary that's out there. The rest of the people, I mean, AJ Parker wasn't even drafted. I don't think he was a free agent signing. So we'll see what happens. It is definitely an area of concern. The saving grace is that our defensive coordinator is a secondary guy. He's used to improving very young guys like Lattimore out of the Saints, leading him to a Pro Bowl very early on in his career. So we're hoping that coaching actually does take hold for the Lions. And I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think a lot of people are just looking for the train wreck, and I don't think it's going to be there. I think that's where 49ers are going to be most disappointed when they play the Lions. It's not going to be the blowout that you guys are all hoping it to be.
Oh, it's going to be the blowout we're hoping it's going to be. But Melifonwu to watch him because he's going to develop during the season.
Agreed.
We liked him coming out of Syracuse. He's a big, tall guy. Really fits him more of a base cover 3 set. And he's going to develop, but he's definitely wasn't ready. The questions with him was he ultimately going to switch to safety? I don't know if they're going to switch him or not. But the reason I bring that up is because you're probably going to have to dedicate a safety to the box at some point if the 49ers decide to employ the 2-quarterback system like they've been talking about and getting the Shanna plan going where Trey Lance can come in at any moment. I don't know if you caught the Raiders preseason game, but they literally changed mid-drive. It didn't matter what the situation was, down distance, nothing mattered. It was Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance going in and out depending on what Kyle Shanahan wanted to show the defense. So I'm curious how you think Detroit was going to be able to handle that because Dan Campbell talked about the fact that they were planning for both quarterbacks. And you, as a guy that's worked with quarterbacks in a option type system, will understand the stress that it puts on a defense. So I'm wondering how Detroit could possibly be able to handle that type of situation.
I think they're just going to give the illusion of loading the box. I don't think they're actually going to do it. I think they'll bring a safety down, and they'll probably do it, quite a bit. They'll bring people off the edge. They'll bring, like I said, a few linebackers. They'll do some twists. They'll do some stunts. But it's not going to be because we need more guys in the box. It's going to be about confusing reads. Trey Lance, young guy, you just try to confuse him. And I don't think JG's all that great, especially when the pressure's on. I know. Let me piss off all the night. JG's not great. Okay, if JG was as good as you guys said he would, you guys wouldn't have Trey Lance. So,
I mean, there's an argument to be made there, but there's also an argument to be made that it was because of injury. But it's fine. We'll let you continue.
He ain't that good. Talk to me when the pressure's on and the game counts. Well, I pressure's off because he's playing the Lions this week. Is that what it is?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. But if you want to put it out there in the ether, I guess that's you.
I mean, if the pressure's off because he goes off on you, I mean, then that's fine.
Also true.
Well, that's why I kind of dropped in that the fact that this could be actually a trap game because a lot of the coaches that the Lions have, they have some ex-Rams coaches. Jared Goff's an ex-Rams guy. It's not like we're completely unfamiliar with the 49ers, and we do have a small element of surprise going into the game. And I think we're going to crutch that going into the 49ers. I don't see how you cannot. We don't match up well. So we're just going to throw haymakers, I think. We'll try to play conservative on offense, throw haymakers on defense, and keep it as close as we can, just like Dan Campbell's been saying, just stay competitive throughout the whole game. And I think that's where the disappointment's going to come in for the 49ers. Not that the Lions are going to win. That's not what I'm saying. But if we beat the spread, what is that,
right,
the 7.5 point spread? going to make you guys question a lot of different things about your offense and defense. And I think that's the goal of the 49ers this year, is just to ruin everybody else's season.
Well, hot diggity dog there, Matt. I like that. I like that a lot. If you had to give a prediction, a score and a prediction on this game, what are you leaning and what would it be?
I was saying 24-20. And that's probably actually a higher score than I'd like to give. I think it's going to be actually pretty boring. You got two teams that all they want to do is establish the run. And for most people that are just fans of the game rather than coaches of the game are going to be really bored. There's going to be some really weird mistakes. It's week one, especially for the Lions part, where we'll make mistakes and it'll probably cost us. You guys will probably have 24 on 3 touchdowns and a field goal. We'll have 20 based on maybe 2 touchdowns and a couple field goals. And like you said, that may be one of those things where we ruin the spread. Like Ant said, late in the game, we'll get a garbage touchdown or field goal.
Hey, and Matt, we have to get into this. One thing I had to bring up was Decker's injury. He's got the hand injury. And I know it's just a finger and it's an offensive lineman, and we know how fingers happen all the time for offensive linemen. But is there any concern, because there's no real depth at the offensive line, at the tackle spot for the Lions, that if something happens and he's not playing, and the 49ers have this D-line that they just have so much depth where they can just continually go at you, is there any concern that could be an issue, not just this week, but even next week as you move forward if he doesn't get healthy?
It's going to be a concern the entire season, I think. They'll probably have to bring some guys up in the practice squad or free agent, sign somebody in. I don't think it's as big as concern as maybe people are making it out to be, because they have, who's that, Vaitai, who was moved from tackle to guard. I think if things get really tough, they just bump him back out to tackle and they have a little bit more depth guard position. I think that's the easiest transition to make. Even if you have to put up Sewell on the left side rather than the right side, there is some flexibility there, but they are very thin at the offensive line. It's not a comfortable spot. It's more comfortable than their tight end spot. They have a backup.
A single
one guy. Hawkinson's good, but they're not that good. Goal line package. They had to bring in a linebacker that they got from the Raiders. Just to have a goal line package. I
like to as a guy, not the guy, not a guy we can count on. Just a guy. He's a guy. That was the one last thing I really wanted to talk to you about was Penei Sewell. With what expectations were coming out, this was a guy who we were extremely high on in the draft time. If the Niners had sat back there at 12 and he had somehow slipped back to where we were originally, where we were picking in the draft, this is a guy where you can't pass on him, right? You can't do it. This preseason has come and gone, and there's been some questions about his performance, his production, what he's been doing. Do you share some of those concerns, or are you liking what you see and you're liking the progress that Sewell's been making so far?
Little column A, little column B. So I'm not as concerned as some other people are already calling him out to be a bust or whatever out of the draft. I don't think that's the case. I think that's rarely the case with offensive linemen if they can stay healthy, of course. I think the only time an offensive lineman truly busts is if he just can't ever stay healthy. But for Sewell, he's making the transition from left to right. So hand placement's always been an issue from the preseason film that I watched. He does some good things, and then he does some, he's definitely a rookie. Also, the game plan is going to be a big part for him for 49ers. I think if they really, want to protect him against, like I said, whether it's me, Armstrong or Bosa, whoever's going to try to kick his ass. Excuse me,
it's all good.
But
you're good.
Anybody who tries to, like I said, they're going to try to take advantage of the fact that he's a rookie. They're definitely going to grab some wins from him, but I think the play action passing game is going to protect him a little bit more. An actual game plan is going to protect him. I think during preseason, they were putting him on a little bit of an island. The quarterbacks were taking 11-yard drops, and doesn't matter which defensive end, as long as they're a little bit quick, they're going to say, oh, you can't handle fast defensive ends. So you can't handle an average defensive end if your quarterback's going to take 11-yard drops the whole time. You're not Patrick Mahomes back there, Goff.
Yeah, that's true. And Goff knows about the 49ers defensive line just a little bit. They've met. They're acquainted.
Accurate. That's accurate.
Yeah, definitely.
No, but they have a better line this time. So, even like I said, even Sewell's young. The overall team's young, but the offensive line is definitely the pride of the Detroit Lions. I know a lot of people say, they're a top 5 offensive line. They're really, really good. I don't know about top 5. I would definitely be safe to say top 10. They constantly rank interchangeably top 10 If they're the number 9 spot, Niners are number 8. If the Lions are number 6 spot, and sometimes Niners are number 7, just depends on what website or what grading system you're looking at. It's a very good offensive line. It's definitely going to be about staying healthy this year for the Lions, especially on the offensive line, because you don't really have that much depth to play with.
And it makes it more exciting now. The game just got more exciting because I do want to
Absolutely.
see this matchup of the offensive line versus the defensive line on both sides. Actually, I think there's some interesting matchups overall. So now I'm even more excited because Matt is saying that the offensive line is actually that good. Because when they got put out there, it's like I don't know if they're actually that good because we haven't got to see
one of the best centers in the league. So
right,
we're pretty good, leading the charge there. That's a big thing for an offensive line is to have a center actually make those calls. He's a seasoned veteran. He can coach up these young guys in practice and spring training. I think it's going to be a good thing.
If there's one fan base that should know that better than any at this point, it should be us, because after last season, without having a center, vitally, crucially important to your success. It really
so bad.
Really does.
Try not having a run game for like the past decade.
Hey,
no, thank you.
You know what? You know what? Though some people in today's NFL do not like the run game at all.
True.
Oh,
fans don't love it.
Yeah, those are the people that when their team sucks, they don't show up to the games, they don't go to the stadiums, they don't watch, they don't keep up, But us Lions fans, we just put the brown paper bag on and we keep going.
Hey, you do what you gotta do to show support without getting raked over the coals. Matt, I completely get it and cannot thank you enough for coming on for the first episode of the season of Know Your Opponent, man. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. I'll be watching. I'm subscribed and everything. I probably at this point know more about the 49ers cutback than I do my own Lions, sadly.
Well, hot dog, man. I love it. I love to see it. We really appreciate the support.
Thanks, Matt. We do appreciate the support. It means a lot.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Absolutely, man. Catch you later. We'll see you on the next one. And Cutback crew and the faithful, until next time, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.